Okay, with the sticky note responses, we're going to go around and share, and I want you to give me one of your sticky note responses. How do you think your student should respond to that question? And then tell me where you could see yourself using this.
Okay, so my question was, how did Rosa Parks start the civil rights movement? And I think my students could respond by saying, you told me that Rosa Parks started the civil rights movement by refusing to give up her seat on the Montgomery bus.
Okay, where do you think you could use this strategy in your classroom?
Oh, I could use this every day in social studies to have them interact with the text.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Ms. Carpenter?
All right, and my question was, in the passage, I know why the caged bird sings,
Okay.
was, do you think you would like Mrs. Flowers? All right, by reading the passage, it was describing the relationship between Mama and Mrs. Flowers, which it said it was a strange relationship, and she wasn't a member of the church, but yet she was good people.
Okay.
So,
Where could you use this in your classroom or with your students?
we could use this as a novel reading discussion.
Okay, awesome. Miss Brackman?
Okay, my passage was about Jackie Robinson, one of my favorite people. I would ask questions such as, who was Jackie Robinson? And then they should be able to tell me who he is as the first African American in 20th century to play Major League Baseball. Okay, and what trait was most important
Okay.
for him to have, and that was courage.
Okay.
Okay, and how did Robinson's breakthrough in baseball pave the way for others? Well, actually, it made a big impact when it came to sports.
Okay.
And he not only paved the way for minorities, but he was providing opportunities in all types of people, and I'm not types, but races.
Okay.
Mhm.
So where could you use this in your language arts classroom? Or do you see yourself using it?
Oh yes, definitely. When we read novels and novel study and just passages, mostly text.
Okay.
Mhm.
Miss Gray?
Mine was a little simple. I just said, we're looking at, in social studies, we were looking at how things were changing in the new frontier during this era, and it's helping cities and schools. And I put, how were cities and schools helping, in the community? And basically, I just saw where there were programs that were developed that received funds, because there was nothing there. And it's hard to imagine that those programs weren't there before.
Right.
So as a child, I could imagine, well, how was that?
Okay.
And
And then you really make those real world connections of that they have. You've built a background for it.
Yes.
Where could you use this in math?
Well, I'm going to switch gears for a minute. Graphing data.
Okay.
Okay, so why do we have data? Well, so we need to be able to plan so we don't make the same mistakes again. So maybe if there, for example, if we were looking at the rainforests decreasing,
Right.
we're destroying that. What do we need to do? It brings about an awareness.
Okay.
Whereas people just see numbers, it doesn't mean anything. But when you display data on a graph, then the visual always seems to mean more.
Right.
So
Awesome.
anyway.
Okay.
Great.
Noah?
I was reading about the Korean War,
Mm-hmm.
and my question was, do you think the U.S. should interfere in Korean politics and the Korean War? Why or why not?
Mm-hmm.
Because we were studying the Cold War when the Korean War started, so we're kind of in the fight against communism. And when North Korea, which is communist, invaded South Korea, who was not, we feel very strongly about communism, the United States. So we got involved, and we also requested the UN get involved. And that's when I want to ask a question: do you think that we should interfere or
Right.
not?
And then they can back it up with textual evidence
Yeah.
using their sticky notes. So you think you could use that in social studies then with
Oh, yeah.
any type of text or reading? Okay. Does anybody have any questions about this one? Okay. All right. Then the next one we're going to do is question the author. Has anybody ever done this strategy?
You
You probably have without knowing it was a strategy. You went through and read stories and said, well, why did that end that way? Or why, or watched a Hallmark movie or anything and said, I think it could have went this way. And then your kids question things when they're reading like, I really wanted them to be together. Or I really wanted him to get killed and not this person. So they're questioning the author. It's a strategy that engages students actively with the text because we don't want them reading passively just because we told them to read the 10 pages. We want them fully engaged in the text. Rather than reading and taking information from a text, the QTA strategy encourages students to ask questions of the author in the text. Through forming their questions, students learn more about the text. Students learn to ask questions such as, what's the author's message, or what's he getting around? What am I trying to understand? Does this author explain it clearly? How does this connect with what the author said earlier? So them coming across and making the connections between what happened in chapter 1 versus what happened in chapter 7 is a very deep skill that we need them to have as teachers. And even so, questioning the text that they're reading that's content-based, why did we do it this way, this chapter, why are we doing it this way, this chapter. So, we're going to try this strategy with an excerpt from Where the Red Fern Grows. So I want you to read this excerpt. It's pretty short. And I want you to come up with some things that you would question about the author. What questions would you ask the author? You can think from the mindset of 6th grade.
Okay.
Because we're going to pretend we're 6th grade.
And what question I would ask the author, is that what you said?
Right. You're questioning the author. Why did you choose to do this or not this? You can just write your questions out to the side of your passage, or you can have a sticky note if you don't want to write on it. I know certain people don't write on things. It's the only copy you're ever going to get. I'll give you about 2 more minutes. Do you notice this strategy goes hand in hand with another skill that we teach in 6th grade?
Annotating the.
Exactly. You're annotating it, asking questions throughout.
Okay.
You could even question and say, why did you choose to write in first person versus second person?
Oh, okay.
That type of thing. So you're annotating. You can turn this into an annotation as well when you're writing on the text.
Brightner's the annotation.
Yes,
queen.
Brackner is annotation
She
queen.
is. She has those kids annotating all kind of things.
Annotate and analyze.
Yeah, annotate, analyze.
Alright, does anybody need another minute? Are we ready to share out and see what you got? You want me to start on the other side this time?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, Killa,
Not
hit us.
shy. Okay, and I haven't read this book, so I don't know if these questions are answered later or not. I don't like sad dog books, but so I never read this one or watched the movie. But I wanted to know what happened to the dog after he let them go, and I also wanted to know, did the boy get a new dog afterwards? Those are my questions, and maybe they were answered on.
Right, but with an excerpt like this,
Yes.
and that's the kind of thing I would do with the question author. I would give them a cold read, something they haven't read, to get them practice with questioning the author, because if they already know what happened, or if it's a book that they're super familiar with, it's going to be hard for them to come up with questions that they don't already know, unless they're going really deep and saying, well, why did this happen versus this? But those type of questions, I would do a cold read.
Okay.
Carpenter?
After reading the passage, I was like, well, why did he have him locked up in the first place?
Okay.
What made him let him go?
Okay.
Or where was he really from?
Awesome. Okay. Brittany?
Okay, I would ask the author, as a young boy, did he have a dog that
Okay.
he loved like this, that he was willing to let it go and not ever, like it says, pin his dog up, because he knew that his dog, they have feelings. And
Perfect.
that it would be a sin to do that. Also, I would ask him, where they talk about it's a long way from the Snake River Valley in Idaho. Did he live in Idaho? Is
Okay.
that why he's able to know how the alleys just come into the street? And, did he use places and like
Things that
and then
he-
the animals that he was familiar
Or
with?
that was relevant to his
Mhm.
life. Well,
Right.
That's great. Okay, Miss Gray?
Well, you kind of hit the same area that I was looking at. I put, why would you have him make this statement? I tried to make myself believe that his home was in the Ozark Mountains somewhere, I guess where he lived,
Okay.
as opposed to someplace far away. Why wouldn't he just keep him and keep him comfortable?
Okay.
Or keep him in.
Right, so you're drawing on the feelings
On
of the
the
author.
feeling,
Why
you
did
know.
you choose to put your character through all that turmoil? Okay.
All right, I am gonna speak for a sixth grader, and I
Okay.
can just hear my students in my mind right now saying, "Why did he have to let him go?
Right.
Why did you have to let him
Yeah.
go? What happened to him? Did he see the dog again? And why does he think it's so horrible to keep him in the backyard? My dog's in the backyard.
Yeah. that's
Exactly. So
true.
they're making a connection to their
Yeah.
life, which is exactly what your kids would do,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
Yeah, you sounded just like him.
Right?
You even had the little sassy tone that the
Right.
sixth graders have.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think you could use this in more so with English language arts, of course, but you could draw it into your other content areas. But do you think your students could do it successfully?
Yeah.
Because they already verbalize
so,
it, they're
yeah.
already questioning it. But when you make them put it to the put pen to paper, do you think they could do it?
I think so too.
I think it's a
More
challenge.
verbally than written, but I think they'll be able to do
Right,
it.
but then you can hit those writing standards, and research tells us they need to be reading and writing every
Right.
day.
And I
So-
think my advanced children would like this because they want to question everything. So I think
Yes.
that they would
Even
really,
teacher, yes.
they would really
They ask a
enjoy
lot of questions.
getting
don't
to
they?
question the author like they were.
Right.
They would enjoy
And then
that.
you could almost turn it into a debate if you wanted to, into a setting where, well, the author does this versus that, why, and then your students could debate it out. So,
I agree with all of them.
all right, great.
Okay, I like that.
I do like that.
That's my favorite.
I'm gonna use that.
Okay, so now comes y'all's
Okay.
time to shine.
That's fine.
We're going to do a survey on this professional development. And then there is a code on the board. It's bit.ly. You just type in bit.ly and then Stewart, capitalize the PD.
Okay. I didn't bring my phone.
You can share one of those, or you can do it when you get back to your classroom. Be honest and tell me exactly how you feel. It's going to ask you what strategies did you like the best, which one do you see yourself using, which one do you not. Of course, there are things that will work better in Miss Gray's math class than they will in Killoa social studies class, and vice versa. Just be honest and tell me how you feel. While you're getting to that, does anybody have any questions about any of the strategies we talked about, or where maybe we can bounce ideas off where we could use it in the classroom or content areas? Because we've got to make sure that we're teaching reading and writing every day, because we're all quote reading teachers without
Yes.
What did we get? We did sticky note, question the author, and square.
in script. So you have the SQ4 hour, question the author, and sticky note response, and paraphrasing those four.
I was trying to get.
I like the paraphrasing, that was
Mhm.
awesome.
It is
It's
fun.
that, you know, you tell them, okay, paraphrase, this is what it is, and then you expect them to be able to figure it out. But giving them a number of words, that's
Mhm.
gonna be a challenge for them, as well as what we just did with the Redfern.
Well, even in math today, I tried to, have cliff notes sometimes, and, so okay, let's summarize this, make it more, because we always try to make it more kid-friendly,
Kid friendly, absolutely.
and, even then, they struggle,
Mm-hmm.
especially when they're new concepts.
Right, and it takes a lot of practice with them. And we're preparing them for college when you're giving them a word count, because we know that they say, write 150 words for this
Mhm.
response, or write 3,000 word paper.
That's right.
So you're kind of getting them ready for real world experiences.
Can I have another sticky note?
Sure.
I enjoyed the questioning because I think at
Questioning?
that age they
That was
love to
my
ask
favorite one,
questions.
too.
That was my favorite because they do ask a lot of questions,
Right.
and it'll help them better understand when they ask questions because they're so inquisitive at this
Exactly,
age.
about everything. And when we can take something they're already doing that sometimes gets on our nerves a little bit, and we can put it with the content or put it with the reading strategy, that's beneficial.
Right.
Beneficial for us to the fullest extent.
Oh, my goodness. In math today, we were analyzing some data, and we got completely off math because we got really into science. We were analyzing
That
science.
happens.
And so I'm just glad that we were still in math and science type stuff, but.
Right.
I mean, even in science, you're reading.
Okay, so before you can go, you have to give me something that you learned before you can exit. So what'd you learn, Noelle?
I like the square. What'd you call it?
SQ4R.
I'm gonna call it square. It looks like the word square. to me.
Yeah, yeah.
But
that's good.
I really like that. I've never heard of it before, but I really like that because
Okay.
a lot of mine have comprehension problems. I
So
think
that,
it'll
you
help.
think that'll help?
Yeah.
Having the little checklist of things to do. Okay, Miss Guy.
I like the square. I do that. I guess I learned about that a few years ago, whatever. But
Okay.
I enjoy that one. But the Post-it,
Response, sticky note response.
sticky notes, because that would help get, sometimes we have questions and they flee.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah, they come
And
and go.
sometimes with math, we get so focused on the mechanics
Mm-hmm.
that this may help them understand the reason.
And it's also a good pacing thing too. If you
Yes.
go ahead and you have them stuck in the book where you want them to stop and reflect, or on a question or a word problem or what have you, then it kind of gives their brain a break to really focus and analyze that.
Yes, I like that a
So,
lot.
all right, Miss Brackner.
Well, we are about to start a new novel, and I am definitely going to use the questioning of the author,
Okay.
because it's Hatchet, and there's so many skills that they can learn, from the character.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can pull your whole discussion just from that.
Yes, and
Right.
let's see, and then asking, just having them, me asking them questions, and I don't know if there was I don't know if there was exactly a name for it, but when they come back and say, "You told me,"
Right, that's the
Okay.
sticky note
the
response.
sticky note response.
Because citing evidence is a huge standard for 6th grade, and when
Mhm.
they're actually making the connections in the text is great.
Right.
Okay, Miss Carpenter.
I like the questioning. So,
Okay.
with a novel read, that would be perfect for discussion.
Mhm.
It could be oral or written discussion.
Mhm.
So, like I said, 6th graders are inquisitive, or elementary
Right.
students. So I think it'd be great for them to ask questions about the novel, or we
Mhm.
just probe and
Right.
get questions from them.
Exactly. Okay, Miss Killer.
I really liked the paraphrasing strategy. We're going to start reviewing for a test tomorrow, and I see myself using this probably starting tomorrow to have them as a review strategy for our test on the Constitution. And I also enjoyed getting to be in a small group with these ladies and learning from them as well.
Oh, great. So, if
It
nobody.
was fun.
Well, good. Does anybody else have any more questions, comments, concerns before I let you go?
Yeah. And I would like to let you know that you are a very pleasant person when you speak.
Thank you.
And that means a lot
Right.
to students.
Well, thank you. All right.